Hey, this is Matt once again. What about 10 videos of the paid request? It's time for Guillermo. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. It could be for pretty much any type of video. And this is for the 2013 film Billy Club, which I never heard of, but I really did like the poster. I thought the poster looked really cool. And the movie itself I thought was pretty decent. I didn't mind the film. The makers, you just tell they're trying to be like an 80s type of slasher film. Now, not in terms of cinematography, it does scream low budget 2013 with the way the film looks. The acting, some of it is okay, some of it is pretty wishy-washy. But I didn't mind the story. I didn't mind the it's weird to say aesthetics, but like the weapon of the killer, the way the killer looked, was trying to be like those films back in the day, where the killer has a specific outfit and a specific weapon. You do get a couple decent bits of gore in here, done practically. The story I thought was subtle, but decent in terms of trying to take the proceedings serious. Not be a goofy type of score or anything like some films try to do. So it messes up the tone. And I didn't mind I didn't mind the story it was telling. And I thought there was some talent involved in terms of either scene transitions or some camera work that they try to do a little bit more than the average wannabe slasher film. Like I said, I do wish it was filmed in a way that had maybe more of an old school look. They probably couldn't afford it, because it does stream like a direct-to-video, low-budget movie. The way it looks, and again, some of the acting the same. Also, I do think the characters could have been improved a bit. I don't know if I would say I loved the characters. Some I could tolerate. But yeah, I didn't mind the story. And what it is a group of people, three guys and a tomboy, this girl. The four of them, they meet up each other at this bar. Our lead guy's named Bobby. And then you have the female who works at the bar. She's a bit of was a bit of a tomboy. You have these other two guys. One of them is a guy named Kyle, who's a bit more vulgar, verbal-wise. And we come to find out that 15 years ago, because I think this film takes place in 1996, I'm trying to think, is this supposed to take place in 1996 Flash? But I didn't know there was I think this is supposed to be a late 90s movie. It's the 15th anniversary of the death of their little league coach and some of the players. Because you come to find out that there was this kid named Billy who was picked on. We see there's a lot more to it later in the film that's revealed. And so for revenge, he killed two of the other fellow little leaders. Have them positioned and tied up like they were going to do a catch, and the coach's body was found with a baseball bat down their throat. And that's what I mean by there's a bit of ambition in terms of the direction of the film. Like the first shot, you hear this audio of like someone calling a baseball game, and the screen is fuzzy. As pulling back, we realize is pulling out of the viewfinder of a very old school camcorder, where this baseball footage has been recorded onto it. Then we see the killer make a weapon, kind of like how Freddy Krueger made his weapon at the beginning of Nightmare on Elm Street, where this killer with this decent costume for a killer. You know, creepy looking umpire outfit. He takes a baseball bat, puts nails into it, even puts a retractable knife into it at the end of it. I'm like, okay, that's a pretty nifty weapon for a killer. And in his free time, he'll knock balls into the pond, and there'll be times the director will have the camera to the baseball and follow the baseball all the way to the pond and even through the water with some bit of underwater photography. And some of the transitions, like there's one guy who the killer, when it kills people, he'll burn a number, which might be the number of what they wore back in the day, and then they'll burn like a photo of them and as kids in Little League, and they'll burn each photo for each victim he kills. Well, I thought that was kind of a neat little idea to put in there. They give a little bit more to the character of the killer. But like, it shows us burning, and then it'll cut to bacon being fried. And there's a couple of decent kills. There's a guy that gets hit in the head with the nailed baseball bat. There's another that gets his head pounded in until there's pretty much nothing left. One gets stabbed in the back. One is riding a four-wheeler and gets decapitated by the retractable knife and the bat. Done practically. It's not a big body count. So, and not all the kills are graphic. Some of them are. I will say there's a part where they want a little bit of a bigger body count, but I just see what the story of the picture is, how there'd have to be a certain amount. And like I said, the acting is kind of 50-50. The guy who plays the lead, Bobby, didn't mind him. I thought he was one of the stronger actors in the film. The girl who was a tomboy, she was fine for what she had to do, but not great. She's no Lisa Wilcox. She's no Amy Steele. She's no Ashley Lawrence or anything. Kelly Maroney, but she's okay. The guy who played Kyle and his buddy, they tend to be a bit over the top in their mannerisms, trying to be funny, and they came off just more douchey, which I'm sure is the point. This is one sheriff character that's definitely given the more over-the-top performance, where he'll say a line like, "You think I was born in sheep shit?" It's like, what? "You think I was born in sheep shit?" And the sheriff, it's like if Kramer from Seinfeld had a bit of the hair that was more like Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future. So like Kramer meets Doc Brown with the sheriff. It just, which I mean that sounds better than it is, but it just wasn't. It was a bit silly, but I'm sure that was the purpose of it. And there was some confusing stuff in the movie. Like at one point, I guess in order to show certain flashes or flashbacks, this is one guy that we never really get to know who is looking at this microfilm. We see the up close eyeball the person looking in this microfilm, and the person's like reading these newspaper clippings, and then it'll focus in, then it'll show a flash of what happened to that person. I can make an assumption of who that is. So I think I know who it was, but it was just that's kind of brought up, and then it disappears for a good chunk, and then that microfilm stuff is really brought back into the picture. So I thought it was a little bit confusing at first as to who is this person looking at this and why are they doing it, and why. I think maybe there could have been a little less confusing way to show some of these flashbacks. And like I said, the low budget does show at times. Whenever there's confrontation or fighting, which there's not a whole lot, you tell that the fighting seems a bit clumsy. Like people are trying to whack someone, but you tell they're going a bit slower than they would because they don't want to actually really hit someone. You know, you're trying to hit someone, you're going pretty fast, but it's like, like they're very being sluggish. Just like I don't really want to hit this person because I really want to break their head open. So the fighting was a bit clumsy. Sometimes there's a bad ADR. Like there's this pizza delivery guy, and he sees that something's going on. You're like, oh man, and you tell there's a bit of ADR there. Like I said, the look of the film, the light in the film. You kind of wish there was a bit more of a budget to show a bit more style again in terms of the lighting, to maybe give more of an 80s as even though it's, I think this takes place in the 90s, they did more of that aesthetic that I was trying to shoot for. But like I said, I like the look of the killer. I didn't mind the story where we learn bits by bits what's going on. Like bits of what the killer does, a couple of the death scenes, a couple of the little camera techniques the director does. Because they did more in the spoilers, you find out that what had happened was Billy the I would say Billy the Kid, this different Billy the Kid. He was part of the Little League team. They lost the game. They blamed it on him. The coaches snap at him, saying, "You need to take. Sometimes you need to take one for the team, Billy. Come on, Billy." So the other kids had grabbed him. They tied him up. They put him into some water, like a dunk tank. The some of the boys who are adults now as part of our lead characters, they were egging each other on. The tomboy, the girl, she's the one who threw the ball. Kid fell. They're trying to unlock it. The kid's drowning. They escape. The kid did drown, but then this umpire at the time, which I actually now realize is Mark Metcalf. You know, the bad guy in National Lampoon's Animal House. He was also in One Crazy Summer. And I want to say bad guy, not John Vernon, but the other like bad guy in Animal House. Again, he was in One Crazy Summer. He's in this for a little bit, which seemed random. Like, oh, it's Mark Metcalf, but he's in there, and he gives the boy CPR, and then the kid's alive, and the umpire's like, "You shouldn't let bullies like that walk over you." I guess, you know, after you almost drop, you get tied up. Your hands are tied behind your back. You're dunked in the water. You did pretty much die, and someone brought you back. You'd be a little bit miffed too. So he goes and kills two of the little leaders and the coach. Gets put to asylum, and then gets out, and what happens happens. So I didn't mind that story. I thought it worked in that trying to be that 80s slasher where someone has a backstory that usually deals with revenge of something that happened long ago. Like I said, the score was a bit subtle, tried to be a bit creepy. Didn't mind that. Some of the, again, low directorial touches, like Bobby sees the killer, and then we see the reflection of the killer in Bobby's eyeball. So stuff like that, I think if you're into slasher films, you'll get at least something out of this movie. Like I said, I do wish I had a bit of a bigger budget to just have a bit more finesse in terms of cinematography, the lighting. I do wish for a little bit of bigger body count. I wish like When people were fighting wasn't as clumsy, sluggish as it was. And then we get to the end of the film, spoilers, heavy spoilers. Uh, of those four leads, the other two guys get killed. The one guy gets high on mushrooms and is driving wildly, and he gets his head cut off. Much like Junior in Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. The other guy, Kyle, he's the one, he gets his head bashed in with this bat with nails in it. And then they do a little bit of like My Bloody Valentine 3D, where there's a moment where our lead character seems to have met the killer and been grabbed by the killer, but later on you find out that was in the guy's head because Bobby is Billy. Yes, Bobby the lead is Billy. And the guy he had killed earlier in the film, the first death we see, that was the actual Bobby. And the tomboy, the girl, I forget her name, I'm sorry. I was kind of indifferent to her. I didn't love her, I didn't hate her. So I wish there was a stronger lead character or actor or actress so I could really get behind the person instead of being indifferent. I think that really helped the finale. Also, like the fighting is just not much there. Where the killer's approaching her, she dodges it, then she gives like the weakest hit ever to knock the guy down. And then runs off. So of course the killer gets back up, and then she stabs him and locks him in this batting cage. So you don't really get much of a fight, a chase, a battle. I think they made a mistake on that. Because that's how that works in My Bloody Valentine, the original. Where the guy and his loved one, the two of them fighting the killer, and they're fighting with pickaxes and stuff. Or, Terror Train, when Jamie Lee Curtis being chased, and she's in that cage, and the killer's trying to stab her, and she's fighting back. That brings a certain memorable quality. I don't think you have that with there's barely a chase, there's barely a fight. I think that was definitely the biggest detriment to the film. As well as not having, like, the strongest of a lead character. But like I said, there are a lot of elements I liked. I didn't even like the way it ended. Because, again, spoilers. There's no sequel bait ending. The girl did trap the guy in the cage. I thought the lead guy actually gave a decent performance. Where, I'm not going to try to kill you. You tried to kill me. And then he's crying, I fucked up. I fucked up. And when she walks away, I guess, they get they get some cops or something. He kind of looks over and he sees the baseball, like the batting cage, the baseballs that shoot automatically. The machine that shoots the baseballs. He sees that. He ties himself up. He remembers what his coach says. You take one for the team. And lets the balls hit him. I guess to end his own life, his own suffering. And I thought that was unique. Because there's not many times where the killer decides to end it his way by letting baseballs hit him. And some nasty hits. One hits him in the eye. And this shot, his eye's all swollen. And that's what I mean. Like, as a guy that has seen a lot of these type of films, a lot of slasher films, there's enough little interesting bits here and there in terms, again, the direction of the film, again, some of the transitions or the camera work of the film, the story, the bits of that behind what's going on, that made it worth a watch for me. Again, it's not the goriest film, although there's some gore in it. Does not have the biggest body count. Think that could have helped. So there were issues I had with it, but I did see some talent involved in this. And Didn't think it was too bad. Not great, but not too bad. At least for a film I've never heard of. So overall, didn't mind it for what it was. Could have been a lot better, but didn't mind it. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.